September 1902. The Philippine jungle. An American soldier faces a charging warrior at 30 feet. He fires his revolver. Center mass. Direct hit. The warrior keeps coming. 20 feet. The soldier fires again. Another hit. The warrior doesn't slow down. 15 feet. Third shot. Blood spreads across the warrior's chest. He's still charging. 10 feet. Fourth shot. Fifth shot. 6 shots total. All of them hits. The warrior crashes into the American position with a blade in his hand. The soldier dies with his throat cut, his empty .38 caliber revolver still gripped in his hand. When reinforcements arrive, they count the wounds. 6 bullet holes in the attacker's chest. None of them stopped him. This scene repeats itself across the Philippine Islands. American soldiers are emptying their revolvers into charging enemies and dying anyway. Their weapons look modern on paper, but on the battlefield they're death sentences. The .38 caliber rounds don't have enough power to drop a determined attacker before he closes the distance. Reports flood into Washington. Casualty lists grow longer. The military needs a solution, and they need it immediately. They need stopping power. They need a weapon that will end a threat before it ends an American life. What they don't know yet is that the answer is already taking shape in a gunsmith's workshop in Utah. His name is John Moses Browning, and he's about to create something that will still be saving American lives 120 years later. A pistol that costs $15 to build. A pistol the military thinks might last 10 years. A pistol that will outlive every other sidearm America ever adopted. A pistol that will fight in every American war for more than a century and refuse to become obsolete. This is the story of the M1911, the most legendary combat handgun ever created. Mindanao, 1900. The Philippine-American War enters its most brutal phase. American forces face an enemy unlike anything they've encountered before. The Moro tribesmen of the southern Philippines have resisted foreign conquest for 400 years. First, the Spanish tried to subdue them, failed. Now the Americans are learning the same hard lesson. These aren't conventional soldiers, they're warriors with a culture built around combat and a religious conviction that dying in battle guarantees paradise. Before engaging American troops, many Moros tie leather straps around their limbs to slow bleeding. They wear armor crafted from water buffalo horn and brass plates connected with chainmail. Some don Spanish-era helmets scavenged from centuries-old battles. And they consume drugs, combinations of plants and preparations that numb pain and induce what American soldiers describe as a religious frenzy. The result is a nightmare for American infantrymen. A Moro warrior charges. An American soldier fires his Model 1892 revolver. The .38 caliber bullet hits. The warrior keeps coming. The soldier fires again. Another hit. The warrior doesn't slow down. By the time the soldier realizes his weapon isn't stopping the threat, it's too late. The warrior closes the distance with a crisp blade, a wavy-edged sword designed specifically for killing. Field reports flood into Washington. A lieutenant writes, "Our men engage enemies at close range and fire repeatedly, striking vital organs. The enemy continues advancing. Our soldiers don't realize their weapons are ineffective until it's too late to retreat or reload." Another report describes a Moro warrior taking 9 .38 caliber rounds to the chest and torso before finally collapsing. 9 rounds. Any one of them should have been fatal, but the combination of armor, drugs, and sheer determination kept the man fighting long enough to kill 2 American soldiers. In Washington, these reports land on the desk of General William Crozier, Chief of Ordnance. He's responsible for equipping the American military, and right now his weapons are getting soldiers killed. The pattern is undeniable. The Model 1892 revolver was adopted just 8 years earlier as a modern replacement for the old .45 caliber single-action revolvers. The logic seemed sound at the time. The .38 caliber round is lighter, which means soldiers can carry more ammunition. It has less recoil, which theoretically improves accuracy. The double-action mechanism allows faster follow-up shots. On paper, it's superior in every way, but paper doesn't charge at you with a blade. Crozier authorizes emergency testing. Chicago, 1904. The Thompson-Lagarde tests. The methodology is controversial, brutal even. Live cattle are shot with different calibers to measure wounding effects. Human cadavers are suspended and shot to test penetration. Ballistic pendulums measure the energy transfer of different rounds. Critics call it barbaric. But American soldiers are dying, and the military needs data. After months of testing, the conclusions arrive in stark, undeniable language. Any handgun cartridge smaller than .45 caliber is inadequate for stopping a determined attacker at close range. The .38 caliber round simply doesn't transfer enough energy to the target. It penetrates, yes, but penetration without energy transfer means the target keeps fighting. The recommendation is clear and non-negotiable. Return to the .45 caliber. But there's a massive problem. The old Colt single-action army revolvers are obsolete technology. They're slow to reload, mechanically outdated, and belong to the previous century. American forces can't step backward technologically just to get adequate stopping power. They need a modern weapon that combines 19th century hitting power with 20th century design. The military draws up specifications for a new service pistol. It must fire a .45 caliber round. It must be semi-automatic for faster follow-up shots. It must be reliable in the worst conditions imaginable. Mud, dust, heat, cold, everything. It must be simple enough for the average soldier to maintain without specialized tools, and it must be tough enough to survive the abuse of military service. The specifications are published. Gun manufacturers across America and Europe read them with interest. But in Ogden, Utah, a 49-year-old gunsmith reads them with more than interest. He reads them with a solution already forming in his mind. John Moses Browning doesn't look like a revolutionary. Born in 1855 in Ogden, Utah, he grew up in his father's frontier gunsmith shop. While other boys played, Browning watched his father repair rifles and forge gun parts. He learned by observation, by listening, by asking questions, and most importantly, by experimenting. By age 13, he built his first functional firearm from scrap metal and spare parts. It worked. By his 20s, he was designing weapons that caught the attention of Winchester repeating arms. His falling block rifle became the Winchester Model 1885. His lever-action designs became legends, the rifles that won the American West. Winchester bought design after design from the young gunsmith, but Browning saw something that most manufacturers missed. He understood that lever actions and revolvers represented the past. The future belonged to self-loading firearms, weapons that used their own energy to cycle the action and chamber the next round. No levers to work, no hammers to cock manually, just pull the trigger and the gun does everything else. In the 1890s, while other gunsmiths refined existing designs, Browning experimented with radical concepts. Gas-operated shotguns, recoil-operated pistols, semi-automatic rifles. He filed patents for mechanisms so advanced that some manufacturers looked at his drawings and didn't understand what they were seeing. By 1900, Browning had developed a working semi-automatic pistol based on a principle called short recoil operation. The concept is elegant in its simplicity. When the pistol fires, the barrel and slide are locked together. They move backward as a single unit, driven by the recoil energy. After a brief moment, the barrel stops, but the slide continues rearward, extracting and ejecting the spent cartridge case. A recoil spring then drives the slide forward, stripping a fresh round from the magazine and chambering it. The entire cycle takes a fraction of a second. The shooter never touches anything except the trigger. This short recoil system will become the operating principle for virtually every modern semi-automatic pistol designed in the next century. But in 1900, it's cutting-edge technology that most people don't understand and many don't trust. Browning spends years refining the design, testing prototypes, identifying weak points, and improving the mechanism. He partners with Colt's patent firearms manufacturing company to develop a pistol that meets the military's demanding specifications. The challenge is substantial. The Army doesn't just want a pistol that works on a clean shooting range. They want a weapon that functions after being dropped in mud, covered in sand, frozen solid, and baked in desert heat. They want a pistol that a frightened 19-year-old conscript can field strip and reassemble in the dark without losing parts. They want absolute reliability because soldiers' lives depend on it. Browning designs a new cartridge specifically for the weapon. He calls it the 45 ACP, automatic Colt pistol. The round uses a 230-grain bullet traveling at approximately 850 feet per second. It's subsonic, which reduces barrel wear and keeps the weapon quieter than supersonic rounds. More importantly, it delivers devastating energy transfer to the target. When a 45 ACP round hits, it doesn't just penetrate. It transfers kinetic energy that disrupts tissue, breaks bones, and stops threats immediately. This is exactly what the military demanded after the Philippine disaster. The pistol itself incorporates innovations that seem obvious now but are revolutionary in 1905. A grip safety prevents the weapon from firing if dropped or grabbed incorrectly. A slide stop locks the action open when the magazine is empty, giving immediate visual confirmation that the gun needs reloading. The magazine holds 7 rounds in a single stack configuration. Combined with 1 round in the chamber, that's 8 shots before reloading. It's not a lot by modern standards, but it's revolutionary compared to 6-shot revolvers. And the entire system is built on mechanical simplicity and controlled recoil. Browning knows that complicated mechanisms fail in combat. Simple mechanisms endure. Between 1906 and 1911, the United States Army conducts the most exhaustive handgun trials in military history. Multiple manufacturers submit designs. Colt enters Browning's pistol. Savage Arms submits their own semi-automatic design. There are entries from European manufacturers, including Luger. Each company believes they have the weapon that will become America's standard sidearm. The tests are merciless. The Army doesn't want a pistol that works well. They want a pistol that works when everything goes wrong. Each weapon must fire thousands of rounds without cleaning or maintenance. They're subjected to mud tests where the actions are packed with wet dirt and expected to function. Sand tests where fine grit is forced into every crevice. Water immersion tests where pistols are dunked and immediately fired. Rust tests. Accuracy tests at various ranges. Drop tests from different heights onto concrete. The weapon are deliberately abused in ways no soldier would ever treat them. The Army wants to find the breaking point. They want to know which pistol will still fire after being dragged through hell. As the trials progress, weapons begin failing, malfunctions appear, actions jam, parts break, springs lose tension. By 1910, the competition has narrowed primarily to 2 designs, Colt's Browning pistol and the Savage semi-automatic. Both have proven more reliable than the other entries, but neither has clearly dominated. The Army demands a final definitive test. March 1911. Springfield Armory, Massachusetts. The torture test to end all torture tests. 2 pistols, one from Colt and one from Savage, will each fire 6,000 rounds over 2 consecutive days. No cleaning between sessions, no maintenance, no replacement parts, just continuous firing until something breaks or the test concludes. John Moses Browning personally supervises the testing of his design. He's 56 years old now, and this represents decades of work. If his pistol fails, the military contract goes to someone else. Military observers, Army ordnance officers and representatives from both companies watch as the test begins. The Colt pistol fires its first magazine. 7 rounds, smooth operation. Another magazine, another. The rhythm becomes almost hypnotic. Fire, reload, fire, reload. Hours pass, hundreds of rounds. The barrel grows hot from continuous firing. Then it grows very hot. The metal radiates heat that observers can feel from several feet away. Some worry the barrel will fail from thermal stress. Browning's solution is characteristically practical. He orders a bucket of water brought to the firing line. When the barrel becomes too hot to continue, he dunks the entire pistol into the water. Steam hisses as metal meets liquid. Then he pulls it out, shakes off the excess water, and continues firing. The Militar. Observers note this carefully. A weapon that can be cooled with water and immediately resume firing demonstrates remarkable durability. Meanwhile, the Savage pistol fires alongside the Colt. For the first several hundred rounds, both weapons perform well. Then the malfunctions begin. The Savage experiences a failure to eject. The slide doesn't fully cycle. The extractor loses tension. 1 malfunction becomes 2, then 5, then 10. By the end of the 2-day test, the Savage pistol has suffered 37 malfunctions. 37 times the weapon failed to perform as designed. The Colt pistol fires all 6,000 rounds without a single malfunction. Not one failure to feed, not one failure to eject, not one broken part. 6,000 rounds of continuous abuse, and Browning's design never hesitates. The decision is unanimous. On March 29, 1911, the United States Army officially adopts Browning's design as the automatic pistol, caliber .45, model of 1911. The Navy and Marine Corps immediately follow the Army's lead. Production begins at Colt's factory in Hartford, Connecticut. The manufacturing cost is approximately $14.50 per unit. The pistol weighs 39 ounces unloaded, overall length 8.25 inches, barrel length 5 inches, Magazine capacity 7 rounds plus 1 in the chamber. Simple, powerful, reliable. The weapon that will define American combat power for the next century has arrived. Nobody realizes it yet, but this pistol will still be eliminating America's enemies more than a century later. The first test won't come in a laboratory or on a peaceful firing range. It will come in the mud and blood of the Western Front. France. October 8, 1918. The Argonne Forest. The final months of World War I. American forces are pushing through some of the most heavily defended territory in France. German machine gun nests dominate every approach. Casualties are mounting. Sergeant Alvin York and 16 other soldiers from the 82nd Division move through dense timber toward German positions near Hill 223. Their mission is straightforward and nearly impossible. Silence the machine guns pinning down the American advance. York is a reluctant warrior. A Tennessee mountain man who grew up hunting to feed his family, he initially filed for conscientious objector status based on his religious beliefs. The army convinced him that fighting tyranny could be righteous. Now he's 300 yards from a German strongpoint with a rifle in his hands and an M1911 on his hip. As they approach through the trees, German gunners spot the American patrol. Machine gun fire erupts. The sound is deafening. Bullets slice through the forest, shredding leaves and bark. Men start falling. York's squad takes immediate casualties. Several soldiers drop in the first burst of fire. The survivors scatter for cover. York drops into a prone position and returns fire with his M1903 Springfield rifle. He's one of the best marksmen in the division, a skill learned shooting squirrels and wild turkey in the Tennessee mountains. From his position, York begins picking off German machine gunners with methodical precision. One shot, one kill. Another target, another kill. His accuracy is devastating. He's firing at targets 200 yards away and hitting them consistently. The German position begins to falter as their gunners fall. Then everything changes. 6 German soldiers fix bayonets and charge directly at York's position. They're attempting to overrun him before he can reload his rifle. The distance closes fast. 50 yards, 40 yards, 30 yards. York has maybe 3 seconds before they reach him with steel blades. He drops his Springfield rifle and draws his M1911 pistol. What happens next becomes one of the most famous gunfights in American military history. York shoots the charging Germans from back to FR, the last man in line first, then working forward. It's the exact technique he used hunting wild turkeys back home. If you shoot the front bird first, the others see it fall and scatter. But if you shoot from back to front, the leaders don't know what's happening behind them and keep coming. 6 men charge. York fires 6 times. 6 men fall. The M1911 doesn't jam, doesn't misfire, doesn't fail. Each trigger pull produces exactly what Browning designed it to produce. A 230-grain bullet traveling at 850 feet per second with devastating stopping power. With the bayonet charge broken, York advances on the German trench with his pistol drawn. He's firing at targets as they appear, moving through the position with controlled aggression. A German lieutenant watches this lone American eliminate his men with mechanical efficiency. Believing he's facing a much larger force, the German officer signals surrender. York and his remaining squad members round up the prisoners. When they finally reach American lines hours later, they've captured 132 German soldiers and silenced more than 30 machine guns. The single patrol action breaks open a critical section of the German defensive line. York receives the Medal of Honor. When reporters ask him how he survived the bayonet charge, York gives credit to 3 things: divine providence, Tennessee marksmanship, and the M1911 pistol that never let him down. In 2006, nearly 90 years after the battle, forensic investigators locate the precise site of York's action. They recover spent shell casings from the forest floor. Ballistic analysis identifies 46 casings from 30 to 06 Springfield rifle rounds and 23 casings from 45 ACP pistol rounds. The physical evidence corroborates York's account exactly. Those 23 shots fired under extreme stress in desperate close-quarters combat prove the M1911's combat effectiveness in ways no peacetime test could. Stories like York's spread through the American Expeditionary Force like wildfire. Soldiers who initially doubted the new pistol become instant converts. The M1911 isn't just reliable in laboratory conditions. It works when mud clogs the action. It works when rain soaks the mechanism. It works when your hands are shaking with adrenaline and fear. It works when your life depends on it working. Tank crews adopt the M1911 immediately. Inside the cramped confines of early tanks, a rifle is useless. A pistol becomes the primary weapon for close-quarters defense. Officers wear M1911s on their hips as a symbol of authority and a tool of survival. Pilots carry them in cockpit holsters. If they're shot down behind enemy lines, the pistol might be the only thing standing between them and capture. By the time the armistice is signed on November 11, 1918, the M1911 has become synonymous with American military power. Over 68,000 pistols were delivered to U.S. forces during the war, but battlefield experience reveals problems. The original design works flawlessly from a mechanical standpoint, but soldiers request modifications based on real combat conditions. The hammer spur is too long. During recoil, it bites into the web of the shooter's hand between thumb and forefinger. After firing multiple magazines, that area becomes bruised and painful. The grip safety tang is too short. When soldiers grip the pistol under stress, sometimes the tang doesn't fully depress, preventing the weapon from firing. In combat, that split-second hesitation can be fatal. The trigger is too wide and too smooth. When wearing gloves in cold weather, or when hands are wet with sweat or blood, fingers slip off the trigger face. Soldiers need better control. The mainspring housing at the rear of the grip is flat. Some shooters find this uncomfortable and believe an arched housing would provide better control during recoil. Between 1920 and 1926, Army engineers at Springfield Armory incorporate these battlefield lessons into an improved design. The modifications are subtle but significant. The hammer spur is shortened to prevent hammer bite. The grip safety tang is extended to ensure reliable engagement. The trigger is narrowed and given horizontal serrations for better control. The mainspring housing is given an arched profile. The checkering on the grip panels is simplified for easier manufacturing. These changes improve ergonomics and reliability without altering Browning's fundamental operating system. The short recoil mechanism remains unchanged. The barrel lockup remains unchanged. The magazine, the slide stop, the grip safety, all of these core features stay exactly as Browning designed them. In 1926, the Army officially designates the improved pistol as the M1911A1. The A1 suffix distinguishes it from the original model, though both variants remain in service for decades. The manufacturing cost increases slightly to approximately $24 per unit, still remarkably affordable for such a capable weapon. Production continues at multiple facilities. Springfield Armory produces them. Colt continues manufacturing them. The design is mature. The supply chain is established. The weapon works. 3 months after the Army adopts the A1 variant, John Moses Browning dies of a heart attack in Liège, Belgium. He's working on yet another revolutionary design when his heart gives out. He's 71 years old. His legacy is staggering. The M1918 Browning automatic rifle that will serve through World War II and Korea. The M1917 water-cooled machine gun. The M250 caliber machine gun that's still in service today. The Browning high-power pistol. The Auto 5 semi-automatic shotgun. Dozens of designs that changed warfare forever. But nothing he created will prove more enduring than the M1911. It will outlast him by more than a century, and it's about to face its greatest test. On December 7, 1941, Japanese aircraft attack Pearl Harbor. America is thrust into the largest war in human history, and the demand for M1911A1 pistols is about to explode beyond anything anyone imagined. World War II creates an unprecedented demand for weapons. America is mobilizing millions of men and equipping them for combat on 2 fronts simultaneously. The Pacific theater against Japan, the European theater against Germany. Every soldier needs a rifle. Every officer needs a sidearm. Every tank crew needs pistols. Every pilot needs a survival weapon. The numbers are staggering. The military needs M1911A1 pistols by the hundreds of thousands, and they need them immediately. Colt's manufacturing facility in Hartford, Connecticut, is already running at maximum capacity, producing machine guns and other weapons for the war effort. They simply cannot produce enough pistols to meet demand. The government makes a desperate decision: contract with companies that have never manufactured firearms. If they have precision manufacturing capability, they can learn to build M1911A1S. Remington Rand, a company famous for typewriters and office equipment, receives a massive contract. Their precision manufacturing experience with typewriter mechanisms translates surprisingly well to pistol production. Remington Rand becomes the largest single producer of M1911A1 pistols during World War II, manufacturing approximately 900,000 weapons. Union Switch and Signal, a railroad equipment company, produces 55,000 pistols. Ithaca Gun Company, already experienced in firearms, manufactures 335,000. Even Singer, the sewing machine company, receives a contract. Singer only produces 500 pistols, but this isn't about quantity. It's an educational order designed to develop manufacturing processes and train workers. Each Singer M1911A1 cost the government $557.75, making them the most expensive production pistols ever made. Today, those Singer pistols are worth tens of thousands of dollars to collectors because of their extreme rarity. Wartime production introduces changes to speed manufacturing. The original blued finish is replaced with parkerized coating, a faster and more corrosion-resistant process. Wooden grip panels give way to brown plastic for durability and cost savings. But Browning's core design remains absolutely unchanged. The same short recoil system, the same barrel lockup, the same trigger mechanism. By the war's end, approximately 1.9 million M1911A1 pistols have been produced, and these weapons go everywhere. June 6, 1944, Normandy beaches. The largest amphibious invasion in human history. More than 150,000 Allied troops storm 5 beaches along the French coast. Among them, tens of thousands of Americans carry M1911A1S on their hips, in shoulder holsters, strapped to equipment harnesses. Officers lead from the front with pistols drawn. The frozen Ardennes forest during the Battle of the Bulge in December 1944. Temperatures plummet below zero. Weapons freeze solid. Oil becomes thick as molasses. Soldiers struggle to keep their rifles functioning. The M1911A1 works. Its simple mechanism and generous tolerances allow it to function even when ice forms on the slide. The burning deserts of North Africa, where American forces first engaged German Afrika Korps units. Sand infiltrates everything. It gums up rifle actions and jams machine guns. The M1911A1 keeps firing. Soldiers field strip them, shake out the sand, reassemble them, and get back in the fight. The steaming jungles of the Pacific Islands. Guadalcanal, Iwo Jima, Okinawa. Humidity rusts metal overnight. Weapons require constant maintenance to prevent corrosion. The parkerized M1911A1S resist rust. Better than blued weapons. Marines fighting in caves and bunkers at ranges, measured in feet, rely on the pistol's stopping power. American tank crews particularly favor the M1911A1. Sherman tanks carry up to 5 pistols for crew personal protection. The doctrine is straightforward. If your tank takes a hit and you need to bail out, a pistol is faster to draw than a rifle. You pop the hatch, lift the pistol above the opening, and fire at anyone trying to prevent your escape. The .45 caliber rounds keep attackers at distance long enough for the crew to abandon the burning vehicle. German forces capture thousands of M1911A1 pistols from battlefields, supply depots, and dead American soldiers. They officially designate captured pistols as Pistol 660A, with the letter A indicating American origin. In the desperate final months of the war, Germany's Volkssturm militia, old men and teenagers pressed into service, carry whatever weapons they can find. Many carry American pistols taken from the dead. For a weapon designed to stop Moro warriors in the Philippine jungle, the M1911 has traveled an impossible distance, from tropical islands to European battlefields to Pacific atolls. It has fought every enemy America faced for nearly 4 decades. When World War II ends in August 1945, military planners assume the M1911A1 will fade into obsolescence like most wartime weapons. After all, it's a 34-year-old design based on concepts from 1905. Surely modern engineering can produce something better. They're completely wrong. Korea, June 1950. Communist North Korean forces cross the 38th parallel, invading South Korea. American forces deploy rapidly to support their ally. They bring their M1911A1 pistols with them. The Korean peninsula presents brutal conditions. Winter temperatures plummet to 30 degrees below zero. Summer heat reaches over 100 degrees. The pistol functions flawlessly. In both extremes. Soldiers fighting in the frozen mountains around the Chosin Reservoir report that while their M1 Garand rifles sometimes freeze, the M1911A1 keeps working. The simple design and robust construction prove superior to more sophisticated weapons in extreme cold. Vietnam, 1965 through 1975. A completely different kind of war. Dense jungle, oppressive humidity, guerrilla tactics, underground tunnel complexes. American forces face an enemy that melts into the civilian population and strikes from ambush. The M1911A1 serves throughout the conflict. Tunnel rats, the soldiers who volunteer to crawl into Viet Cong underground complexes, universally prefer the M1911A1 over rifles. In tunnels barely wide enough to crawl through, a rifle is useless. A pistol becomes the primary weapon. The .45 caliber round delivers stopping power at ranges measured in feet. One tunnel rat explains the logic. In those tunnels you meet the enemy face to face in the dark. You don't have time to aim. You point and shoot. The .45 doesn't require precision, it just requires hitting the target anywhere in the torso. The energy transfer does the rest. But by the late 1970s, political pressure builds to replace the M1911A1. NATO is standardizing on 9mm ammunition. American allies use 9mm pistols. Logistical efficiency demands compatibility. High-capacity magazines mean more rounds between reloads. Modern double-action mechanisms eliminate the need to manually cock the hammer. The military runs trials for a new service pistol, multiple competitions, protests from losing manufacturers, congressional inquiries, political controversies. After years of testing and debate, the Beretta 92F is officially adopted on January 14, 1985. The M1911A1 is retired after 74 years as America's standard military sidearm. It's the end of an era. Newspapers run stories about the legendary pistol being Repla. CED. Military historians write obituaries for the weapon that served in 2 world wars and multiple conflicts. Veterans who carried M1911A1S in combat express sadness at seeing the old warhorse put out to pasture. Except the M1911 doesn't actually retire. Special operations forces simply refuse to give it up. Delta Force, the Army's premier counter-terrorism unit formed in 1977, adopts the M1911A1 as standard issue before the official Beretta adoption. Each Delta operator receives a pair of pistols meticulously customized by unit armorers. The modifications are extensive. Improved sights for faster target acquisition. Extended controls for easier manipulation. Aggressive grip checkering for better purchase. Match-grade barrels for enhanced accuracy. Every pistol is hand-fitted to match-grade standards. Delta Force founder Colonel Charles Beckwith particularly favors the .45 caliber round. In hostage rescue scenarios, over-penetration is a critical concern. A 9mm round can pass through a terrorist and hit a hostage behind them. The .45 ACP round delivers its energy to the first target it hits. It stops threats without endangering innocents behind them. Navy SEALs continue using M1911 variants for specialized maritime and direct action missions. Marine Force reconnaissance units maintain stocks of customized M1911s. FBI hostage rescue team operators carry them. SWAT teams across America adopt them for high-risk entries. The stopping power that made the pistol effective in 1902 remains unmatched by lighter 9mm rounds in 2024. In 1991, Operation Desert Storm liberates Kuwait from Iraqi occupation. American armored units spearhead the attack across the desert. Inside those tanks, crews still carry M1911A1 pistols. Some of these weapons are 45 years old. They've been through multiple wars, passed from soldier to soldier, generation to generation. They still function perfectly. The barrel wear is minimal. The mechanism still cycles smoothly. A pistol built in 1945 works just as reliably as one built in 1990. This isn't nostalgia or tradition, it's function over fashion. When your life might depend on a sidearm, you carry what works. And the M1911 works. In 2004, American forces fight in Fallujah, Iraq. Urban combat at its most brutal, house-to-house fighting, room-clearing operations, enemies at arm's length. Special operations units carry customized M1911 variants into these close-quarters battles. The stopping power advantage becomes critical. At ranges of 5 to 10 feet, the difference between 9mm and .45 caliber is the difference between stopping a threat and having that threat keep fighting. In 2012, 101 years after the pistol's original adoption, the United States Marine Corps awards Colt a $22.5 million contract for 12,000 brand-new M45A1 pistols. This isn't a historical purchase or a ceremonial gesture. This is frontline equipment for active combat units. The M45A1, designated the close-quarters battle pistol, features modern improvements. Updated sights with tritium inserts for low-light shooting. Accessory rails for mounting tactical lights and lasers. Desert tan Cerakote finish for corrosion resistance in harsh environments. Improved grips for better control. But underneath these modern additions, it's still Browning's design. Still short recoil operation. Still 45 ACP. Still the same fundamental mechanism that passed the 6,000-round torture test in 1911. The Marines issue these pistols to force reconnaissance companies, Marine Corps Special Operations Command, and Special Reaction Teams. Units that face the most dangerous missions carry 100-year-old technology because that technology has never been surpassed for their specific needs. In 2019, U.S. Army General Scott Miller, the top American commander in Afghanistan, is photographed during a Taliban attack on a compound in Kandahar. In the photo, General Miller is armed and ready to fight alongside his security detail. The pistol in his holster is immediately recognizable to anyone who knows firearms. It's a customized M1911 variant. Miller is a former Delta Force commander, a veteran of countless special operations missions. He has access to any weapon the American military can provide. He chooses to carry a design from 1905. That choice speaks volumes. 108 years after adoption, the pistol is still going to war with America's most experienced combat leaders. Today, the M1911 has fought in more American conflicts than any other sidearm in history. The Philippine insurgency, the Mexican border wars, Haiti, Nicaragua, World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Grenada, Panama, the Gulf War, Somalia, Bosnia, Iraq, Afghanistan. From Moro warriors to Taliban fighters, the pistol has engaged every enemy America has faced across 120 years. Manufacturing continues worldwide. Colt still produces them. So does Remington, Sig Sauer, Smith & Wesson, Springfield Armory, Kimber, Rock Island Armory, Ruger. Nearly every major firearms manufacturer produces M1911 variants. The original patents expired decades ago. The design is public domain. Anyone can build one, and millions do. Walk into any American gun store today, and you'll find dozens of M1911 variants on display. Competition models with match-grade barrels and adjustable sights. Tactical models with accessory rails and night sights. Concealed carry models with shorter barrels and compact frames. Custom models with exotic materials and hand-fitted actions costing thousands of dollars. Budget models selling for a few $100s, all of them based on John Moses Browning's 1905 concept. All of them proving that great design transcends time. In 2011, Utah officially adopted the Browning M1911 as Teach-E state firearm, honoring the gunsmith who was born in Ogden and changed warfare forever. An institution. What makes the M1911 endure when countless other weapons have come and gone? The answer isn't complicated. Simplicity, reliability, stopping power, ergonomics. John Moses Browning understood something fundamental about weapon design in 1905 that remains absolutely true in 2025. Complexity is the enemy of reliability. His short recoil system uses nothing but springs, gravity, and momentum. There are no gas systems to foul, no complex linkages to fail, no fragile components to break under stress. The tolerances are generous, allowing the weapon to function when dirty, wet, frozen, or damaged. Modern pistols offer higher capacity magazines, lighter polymer frames, and more sophisticated sighting systems. But when stopping power matters most, when there's absolutely no room for failure, many still choose the M1911, because after 114 years and tens of millions of rounds fired in every environment imaginable, the weapon has proven one simple truth. It works. The Philippine-American War created the requirement. John Moses Browning designed the solution. Alvin York proved its effectiveness in combat. Millions of soldiers carried it through every American conflict for more than a century. And 114 years after its adoption, the M1911 remains in service with Special Operations Forces worldwide. Some weapons are revolutionary, some are reliable, some are elegant. The M1911 is all three. It's the pistol that was supposed to cost $15 and last a decade. Instead, it became immortal.